Hello. Here I would make that click interesting. Yeah. So this episode, want to talk about going left. We'll get right to it. And what I find is, I guess, firstly, all this stuff is kind of is screaming for order in the sense that, there's a progression, right? At this time in my life, it was like this and that. And I think I'll get to those parts, but it feels to me more like a Tarantino movie or something like that, where it at first feels completely out of order and the rest of it eventually all comes together. Except I'm not sure if this one's going to come together. But anyway, you know the deal, right? I'm Christopher, and right, what's it about? I don't know, and kind of sums it up. So you might think then that it's like, oh, so watching all those other channels is kind of worthless, I mean, if all that information and all this stuff, if I don't need to know any of that, then what? Which would then, some of the astute observers would then go, well, yes, that would include this channel. Yes, it would. So, which is probably why going left is bothering me right now, which someone once pointed out. It's like, you say things bother you a lot. It's like, yeah, that's a pretty common phrase I've picked up over the years, kind of thing. It's like, here's what's bothering me. Oh, okay. But that seems to be something more resident in the stories and narratives that are coming up of like, well, it should be. It's like, right, exactly. Well, do you know what's going on? No, but let me tell you the story about how I didn't know what's going on. Except I'm not going to. Let's just get that out of the bag right now. But what is going left? In the process of sort of thinking about this, it's like, oh, so you're violating everything you're talking about. It's like, yeah, of course, because that's it too. Because if I knew that wasn't it, clearly that, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not really here to explain anything. I'm just going to use a whole lot of words to sort of just like break things. That's, I think, kind of my ultimate goal, because in the breaking it sort of fixes things, which reminds me then of the movie Mystery Men, which is like, well, who was the Phoenix? Phoenix, was it right? The guy who just basically said one thing and then said the opposite of that thing. Ben Stiller's like, that's all you really do. You say one thing and then you say the opposite of it. You're not mysterious. You're just, that's all you do. Like, yeah, it might sound like that, but there's a little more. Is there more to it or less to it? Still haven't talked about going left yet, which is just feeling to me like all those other videos that just waste all your time for most of the video and then give it to you in just a very short phrase. So, if nothing else, I can stop wasting time. Going left refers to, for me at least, in old video games, whether it's Super Mario or all of those kinds of side scrollers that you might be familiar with. It always started you in the bottom left of the screen, and out before you were pipes, platforms, mushrooms, the world before you. So clearly, you stick over, you start going right and exploring the world. And some of the, again, astute explorers might have tried to go left early on, and you couldn't go left early on. And I'm not saying this is in all Mario games or the rest of it, but it became this thing where, what do? I go right, because that's whatever you want to call it, how time progresses, the rest of it. A Western style of writing, reading, whatever, left to right. And that's just what you do. You go right. And eventually what games started to explore is, well, what if he didn't? What if we let him go left? And I don't remember what game it was, and it's probably, more than one now. Well, yes, some of you are probably saying, well, yeah, but what about Terraria? And some of these are, that's expected. It's like, well, we'll get there. Um, but the early, I don't know, Ulis, Easter eggs, whatever, might be like, oh, hey, if you go left, you don't go far, but there's a treasure chest, or there's something, the secret, whatever. It's like, oh, okay. And I'm not gonna claim that that's sort of like the first, Easter eggs and secrets that they started to bury into games, but for me, it was a very uh, I'm not terribly good at video games, so for me, it was one of those very accessible secrets, where it's like, oh, not saying that I discovered that on my own, but that kind of opened up a new view of things, of like, oh, I don't always have to go right. I could try going left. I could try this. I could try, and that really, that initial feel of that very much resonates with me, and this discovery of anything could happen. It's like, oh, okay. However, um, that's where it's easy to talk about. It's like, well, do you know what's going to happen? No, I don't know. Can we get rid of? Oh, okay. And then suddenly, what does that become? Well, that becomes a channel about, well, what's it about? I don't know. Oh, okay. Very much like now 100%ing games is a whole thing, which is, oh, I'm going to go find all the secrets. I'm going to go, find all the rubber duckies wherever, or whatever the hell you're looking for these days, kind of thing. It doesn't matter. Some bright image of something that's a token stuffed away in a very difficult to get to place, which is not what I'm talking about, which is not what I'm feeling. And I'm not trying to, at the same time, I'm not trying to say that's bad, and that they, or, um, knowing that there are secrets, that there are things that, the different ways of thinking. It's like, well, if I can think differently, then that is, it's like, and what I guess I'm kind of trying to express in this completely random expression of my life, of, I don't know, starting to let go of things, blowing up, arrows meeting in midair. I don't know. Yes, that too, is this particular form of it, which is, I got it. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go search out all the things that could be out of the box, and different and secret and weird and whatever, and I'm going to become that. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're back in the box. You're just in a different box. It might have been Flash, but you're back in the box. What? No, it's, now you're back in the box. Now a prisoner to 100%ing, or finding whatever, and all the stories that might go with, comparing mind, which is like, oh, well, I'm less than so and so because I'm no good at video games, and I can't find secrets, and I'm whatever, and therefore I'm underpowered, and therefore I can't speed run, and therefore I can't, and yeah, back to a whole lack mentality, which is just, kind of feels to me in the moment kind of rather inevitable. Um, the lack mentality. Well, right, all that. Well, inevitably, knowing what it's supposed to be is an aspect. I don't know about aspect. Is I don't know. But comparing mind is a part of that. And whenever I compare myself to something, then inevitably I am better or worse or, maybe the same. But what that then becomes is either a motivation to get better, to improve, to overcome, which comes from a lack mentality. Oh, I'm not enough of whatever. Which really kind of raises the question, like, and who are you exactly? And what were you supposed to be? And who told you that? And why does any of it matter? And I guess that's kind of how I want to sit with that. I mean, I guess what's kind of coming to mind is most people I know that are like really knowledgeable and smart are disturbed and unhappy. And they may not like say they're unhappy because I think they know they're not supposed to be unhappy because they have this or that and things have worked out and they are and have this title or whatever. I think they know they're not unhappy, but I'm not sure they feel like that. And I don't mean, at a nice dinner party, oh, you have, oh, yeah, sure. It's one of those, if you ask the if you take the psychological exam kind of thing, they don't really craft the questions of like, hey, are you autistic or are you, ADD or the rest of it? I mean, some people maybe want it and then they're kind of like, oh yeah, totally. I've been dreaming of this my whole life, which is another form of, you already knew the answer you wanted. You just wanted somebody to agree with you, which is, are you really living free in that kind of thing? You know, the whatever religion, political party, what a good person looks like or doesn't look like. Do you? Have you ever done anything bad? Have you ever been a bad driver just because you're having a bad day? I don't think all the people you probably pissed off, knowingly or unknowingly, will ever know that you were having a bad day. They just probably look at you like, what an asshole. So, I mean, what do we, what would you stand on, kind of thing, to say that, well, here's my foundation. Here's a place I can reside. Excuse me. And for me, initially, I guess that was not only uncomfortable, but I rallied against it. Which, yeah, I guess, for the sake of sharing a moment in my life sort of leading to this is when everything kind of everything blew up started blowing up. It took years for it all really to blow up. But yeah, about 10 years ago it all started blowing up. And it was a combination of becoming accomplished. Yeah, this is going to get long. I'll save this for another video. But it was something where my career was actually going rather well, but it had become incredibly isolating and painful, and all the coping mechanisms I had in place to deal with that and work harder were really weighing heavy on me. And but we were kind of getting a group together, maybe up to 10 of us, something like that, and it was sort of my version of Friends, in the sense that I figured that was kind of the only way it was going to happen. If I could just get a team for work, that would kind of be a substitute, which is sort of like super sad to kind of say it like that, but that's how it was going. And it was going to be amazing, because that's That was my life at the time, which, eh, you know, yeah, in a lot of ways, to not sugarcoat it, was probably quite toxic for me and probably for others, although I didn't really hear that. But there is kind of a side of, if accomplishment and work is all that matters, um, yeah, there's kind of a, yeah, you're kind of that guy. So, uh, but that, due to my perception of being things in the order of management lying and yeah, what felt like betrayal and the rest of that, because we were different. We, yeah, maybe they had betrayed other groups or whatnot, or lied about other things, but not us, right? No, no, we weren't exempt. And and it wasn't us particularly, but some interoffice politics that caused it all to blow up. And that was soul crushing, because everything, it pretty much turned my whole life on its head, which was just like, the hell did you do with your, what did you do with your entire life? You know, one life wasted kind of thing. Uh, well, to the joke behind that I don't suppose you would know is in the Navy there was, we'd go through A school or power school or whatever kind of thing, and in power school, after one exam, it was about 28 weeks of A school, I think, and we're in power school, and the guy was telling us about some of the exams and some of the strange things that they write on papers that they'd hand back to the students, and one was like 28 WW, and the kid's like, well, what does that mean? He's like, oh, 28 weeks wasted, meaning that you got nothing out of A school moving into this. So um, it can be a harsh, I don't know. To me, that's not really that harsh sense of humor. It's funny, but I guess depending on one's sensitivity, which I think you get over pretty quick in the Navy, or if you don't, you will. Uh, you know, build the shell kind of thing, which is, again, not necessarily in the realm of letting go and the rest of it, but it's kind of an important detail in how, at least for me, how I built up my world into this concrete bunker, so to speak, that I could manage, climate controlled everything right there. I could deal with the world, so long as, I created a shell and shelter and this and, okay, fine, and manage to, and okay, well, if I, work really hard and the rest of that and devote all this, then I can control the other things, and I can control and I can control, and I gotten quite good at it. And I mean, there's no room for anyone else if you're good at it, but hence isolation in there and the rest of that, which, yeah, is a topic for another day. And I've completely forgotten where the hell I was bringing this back to. Um, but the important part of it was the collapse, which was, in spite of all that, in spite of, all efforts and decades of my life leading up to all that, it all collapsed through no fault or effort or ability of my own to either create it nor prevent it, nor, had nothing to do with me. Kind of had everything to do with me, because it's actually what launched me on the journey to break out of that and find myself here talking like this. But that's a 10-year evolution kind of thing, a 10-year transformation, if you will. So that's, I think, why I kind of started. It's like, that's a story for another day. But this one regarding going left, and right, I know there are secrets and things to find and the rest of that, and that very new box, it can be so easy to find ourselves in, is sort of that. So yeah, completely out of order. Really not the ugh, hate to put it in terms of like advice. It's not advice. If it's advice, I've missed the point of this, which is exactly, yes, right. Oh, how do you know? How do you feel? Right. Oh, and letting stuff go. Oh, okay, great. Yeah. How did all that come about? I mean, I do know, I do have a story with all that, but that's within that 10-year realm. So I think, yeah, this is just more of pointing out that moment of discovery of going left is like, oh, that's it. And then turning that into a lifelong journey of discovering all the secrets. It's like, oh, no, no. Or you could say that that is it too. It's just a longer trip. Yes, that's exactly it. Um, hmm. Curious how to express that. And this is kind of where, yeah, again, that thing comes back. Oh, will you edit? No, I'm not going to edit. You just sit there and we can kind of be quiet together. Um, hmm. Yeah. Think I'm going to leave it there because this feels kind of confusing and almost a waste of time at this point, kind of thing. Although, I mean, it doesn't quite feel like that, but there's a part of me where I notice a narrative where it's like, this wasn't a very good one. And it's kind of like, how can you tell? Um, and that I kind of stop in that moment, hence that silence. So, yeah, maybe maybe you can find something in that silence. All right. Um, yeah. Well, my two favorite phrases, if nothing else, I just like saying them. You are more powerful than you can possibly imagine, and you are worthy of love. Yeah. Unlike last time, right? I can time my exit a little better than this. Good night.